Welcome to the Strong Enough Podcast, your relationship wellness podcast. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is going to share with us how his wife's health struggles actually taught him to live life to the fullest, and how a rubber duck named Banfi actually saved his life. Please help me in welcoming Gordon Jenkins. Gordon, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. Really looking forward to spending the next hour or so just chatting away and seeing where we get to.
I am excited to do that as well. I think we've got a lot of interesting things that we're going to cover. Why don't we start with you telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
I don't like that question. A little bit about myself.
Hey, you said I could ask.
Yeah, you did. So let me put it this way. When people say to me, "Tell me about yourself, Gordon," I say, "Well, there's three things about me. I can talk to you about being an executive coach, which is boring. I can talk to you about why I carry a yellow rubber duck in my pocket and don't get away with that, which is intriguing. Or I can tell you why I'm going to build the New Age hospital in Melbourne, Australia, and it's going to sell millions of lives." No one ever asked me about an executive coach, but it's the same story. So very quickly, I am very proud to be 51 and three quarters years old, born and bred in Manchester in the UK, Northern England. That's why I've got a funny accent. Came to Australia in 1996, a one-way ticket, didn't know anyone in Australia, and got a job 3 days after I started. Thought I'd travel, didn't have enough money. Picked up my career in finance, met a wonderful lady, and my world's been rich with meeting and being surrounded by people full of passion. And through that, I've had trauma, depression. I wouldn't say a different life to anyone else, or better or worse life than anyone else, but very unique to me. You know, if you would have said this is what your life's going to be at 52, I would have gone, bullshit. I'm on the corporate gravy train. I'm going to earn $1 million, but never been happier.
I love that very, very, very much. And I'm glad that you pointed out, where you're from, because as we were just talking about, some people might confuse your accent with, California. I don't know. So thanks for clearing that up for us. You mentioned a couple different things there that we are going to jump into, and probably, not the executive coach right away, but we're going to get there. But I would love to hear about this amazing lady in your life that you met.
So I have an amazing young lady. She's younger. I'm cradle snatcher, Wendy. I met Wendy and knew straight away that she was the lady for me. And that doesn't mean that I haven't slept around. We laugh and joke because she drinks more than me, and she's had more boyfriends and more partners than I have. So I've never been one to flaunt, but I just met her. There's just something different about her. And it's that thing. In Australia, we have this thing about the vibe. It's the vibe. Mm-hmm. You just know what it is. And she worked for Royal Dutch Shell, big oil company. Mm-hmm. I worked for UBS, and we had our career mapped out. She was going to run Shell Global in Europe, and I was just going to retire with a football team of kids and be at home, stay at home chef, stay at home dad and chef and cook and all that stuff. And that looks brilliant on paper, but as we know, life doesn't always turn out as you think it is. And she is my rock, and we've not had. The pathway hasn't been the way we thought it's been. And one thing I've learned through Wendy and with Wendy is to share the love, to share the concerns. But when the shit hits the fan and you just want to scream and shout, you need someone other than your partner to go and do that with. So but she's a wonderful person. She's an absolutely amazing person. It's why I am who I am today and why I do what I do today.
I do want to take a moment to point out one thing. You mentioned that you are 51 and a half, and then you rounded it to 52. So we'll just say 52 for now. But what I want to point out, and I mentioned this, I think, last week on that episode, is that I have apparently acquired this knack for getting guests who appear much younger than they actually are. And I have done that once again, because you do not look 51 and a half or 52. So I'm not sure how I have acquired this ability to do this, but you're looking great for 52. So you probably, I'm guessing, look more like Wendy's age, because you are matching her vibe and her energy. Would you agree?
So a few things I want to talk about there. I do believe we create the universe ourselves, and we attract people who are like-minded. So age is not a factor. I actually feel 30, 35. I mean, yes, I've lost probably 10 kilos. What's that, 20 odd pounds in the last, 22 pounds in the last year or so. But because of the journey I'm on now, I feel like my younger self. I've got my mojo back. And I think that when you feel good physically, and when you feel good mentally, and you surround yourself without any toxic people, shit happens. Good shit happens.
Yes. There's a lot to unpack there that you just mentioned, because we got rid of toxic people in that sentence, and we got rid of about 10 kilos. I want to talk to you about that for a second, because COVID has been happening, and we heard about the COVID-19 where everybody was gaining weight. You took the opportunity to lose weight. And I think part of that is because you say that you have kind of been living a COVID lifestyle in a sense for a long time. So will you talk a little bit about that and how you got to that point of living that COVID lifestyle way before COVID was a thing?
Sure. So we had this, Wendy and I had this vision to go and work in Singapore, go and work down in Texas, and then from Texas go to Europe and live there. And Wendy suddenly got a very serious illness, and she needed a double lung transplant. So we were one of the first to bring Viagra. We actually brought Viagra into Australia, because Viagra was actually made for the disease that Wendy had. It wasn't. I found out it does other things as well.
Wow. Which
is interesting. So because Wendy needed a double lung transplant, straight away we had to adapt our life. So can't be anyone that's not immunized. Can't share food. Got a sniffle, can't go there. Can't eat food from a buffet. Once the food's opened, it's done. You can't store it for the next day in the fridge. Can't eat certain seafood. Okay, so your life changes straight away. So you become a lot more aware of people. People are not vaccinated properly. You don't go near. So you have to be careful about what you do. You can't go in the sun. Conscious of what you're eating. Wash your hands when you go to the toilet. I know this sounds really simple, but as we're finding out these things, people are going, I've got to wash my hands when I...
Right. This has apparently been a surprise for some people, which is really gross, but you're right.
But it also meant, because we couldn't necessarily do a lot of things we do, the way I had to do business had to change very suddenly. So I was always on call once you had a transplant, but also because she's had lots of complications since then, that I can't plan 2 weeks in advance. So my life has had to be very flexible and adapt to change straight away. So I adapted my business. My business went very virtual straight away. Now, I've been in business since 1986, and I've used video conferencing since 1986. So Zoom's not new. Okay, so people think, but you adapt very, very quickly. So living the COVID world and doing things that are unconventional to what we do now is very conventional. So I came to Australia and I knew no one in Australia. When I came to Melbourne, it's like, which school did you go to? Which sporting team? Do you go, well, the school doesn't matter because it's in the UK. Which sporting team is? Well, I'm a soccer player, not a AFL player. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't really make much difference. Do I know? And in what area do I live in? So those normal questions that people ask and how people get jobs. And, we're going back to the early 90s when it was the boys club and you got the job. And I had to find out how to change. Now, if I take that back 10 years before, 15 years before, I was never an A-plus student at school, never. Highly dyslexic, not an A-plus student. So when I'm going for a job, and there's 10,000 graduates going for one job, and they've all got straight A's, how am I going to differentiate myself and get a foot in the door?
Mm-hmm.
So what does everyone do? Everyone applies on white pieces of paper for the job. These are the days we had and handwrote you, types out your resume. So what do? I send my resume on my pieces of paper on my resume on orange paper. Why? Because orange paper sticks out in a pile of blue paper, pile of white paper. So thinking differently and being unconventional. So we've lived that unconventional life all the way through. So when we get to COVID and people go, oh my God, we've suddenly got to communicate to people online, or we can't go to the office. I'm going, well, that's just normal. Just normal. Okay, we've had a go-to bag for 16 years. Right? So we've always stocked up. So being unconventional, living this COVID way of life is well, it's normal. And everything that people were saying for me in business has been non-traditional, it's different and it's bad, is now, well, it's actually refreshing, because how do we do it? So that's why I say I live in a COVID world. I'm happy to go down the COVID argument, that COVID discussion, if you want to go down that way. I've got very, very certain rules about it. But it's about what is really interesting about COVID is COVID didn't break the system. COVID proved that the way we think about our systems is broken. Right? It proved our systems are not strong enough. If you think about it in business, those leaders that were saying no to you before COVID, so you can't work from home. Okay? It wasn't because you can't work, it's because leaders didn't trust you working from home. Suddenly you can't work from home, you can't work in the office, and leaders go, oh, we can work from home. But these leaders think they're brilliant, but these are the same leaders who were saying no to you before and now think they're brilliant. And just on working from home is over 400 years old. Okay, back in the 17th, 16th century, when the Black Plague was in England, and Cambridge University closed down and sent its students home, and there was this young man sat in his garden, working, studying, and an apple fell from the tree, and that was Sir Isaac Newton. Working from home happened 400 years ago. So let's not say this is new and we don't need to adapt to this. So unconventional COVID and the unconventional thinking is, this is not about normal. COVID proved that the way we think is very traditional, is very yesterday, and we're not forward thinking.
I do agree with you on that, because I do not work from home now in my full-time job, but for 10 years prior, I worked from home, and I managed a team who was also working from home all over the country. And that was how we did it. So I agree with you that for me, when COVID came and it was like, well, yes, I'm used to sitting on my couch and managing my time and knowing what to do and when to do it and how to do it and all that good stuff. So has it been frustrating for you at all to hear people complain about a lot of the restrictions that came about related to COVID, when really you have been living this life for a really long time for a reason so deep and ingrained in you and Wendy and your guys' life together that you just have had to come to live with anyway?
I used to be quite reserved when I used to answer that question. And I'm not going to be reserved when I answer that question going forward. Good. Not because it's us. We are Wendy's business and my business is, Wendy's a certified resilience coach, right? A qualified certified resilience. Our businesses are booming at the moment. But our businesses are booming because we've been consistent in what we do for the last 10 to 15 years. It's not an overnight success. But I'm also conscious that there's some businesses and some people that are struggling immensely as well. Okay, so I want to recognize that. There's also some businesses who aren't coping, and there's a lot of fakeness. I think what surprised me personally is there's a lot of fakeness. People driving in nice houses, living in nice houses, living in nice cars, when the business shuts down for 1 month and they've suddenly got no money. So they're living through the Instagram. They're not living in reality.
Right.
So we get that. The thing that shocks me about COVID was the amount of people that decided that they had to pivot. Now, pivot to me is changing your business. If And this is a lot to do with business plans, because business plans, when you get a business plan, you say, what did we do last year? And we go, well, let's put another 10% on it this year, 15% a year after. And you get the business plan, and you put it in the ground, in the bottom drawer. Mm-hmm. I've not written a business plan for 15 years. I go, and this is what I do with my clients when I don't know about coaching, but everything we do, and even with the charity that we run, we look where we want to be in 7 years, and we start living that year now. Mm-hmm. We start networking to that year now, and we run on 30, 60, 90 days. That's how we run. And everything we do is very accountable. So I think people have started to think about, well, what are we doing? Well, what is Gordon doing? What's Wendy doing? What's Gordon doing that's slightly different? It is out of the box for some people. Mm-hmm. That's perfect. And it's taking some people quite a long time. We're going to go back to normal. We're not going to go back to normal. I don't know what we're going to go to. But you've got to release the shackles of the past way of thinking, and you've got to do something. Okay, don't know what that something is, because everyone's different. But you've got to do. You can't think that what you can run your business like you did 12 months ago. And to give you a side issue, I'm about to launch a business with a couple of business acquaintances. We started that in August, and we'll launch it next week. Wow. If we would have, and it's a good technology business. If we would have started this 3 years ago, it would have taken us about 2 years to develop. That's how fast the world's moved in the last 12 months. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's become cheaper. And what would have cost us $500,000 is probably going to cost us about $50,000 to launch it. So the world's moved immensely. So I think the opportunity we have today is the greatest opportunity that anyone of my generation, and I'd go all the way down to Gen Z, and I was even saying, look at Gen A's that are coming through now. Those are the 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. The opportunities that are approaching them now, we won't get another opportunity like that in our lifetime.
I feel motivated already, just listening to you. Very motivational. Let's go back to when Wendy got sick, and you said, things had to change very quickly in your lives. How long into your relationship did that happen?
Our lives changed within about 3 months when we first started dating. Okay. So her mum had breast cancer. We met in late 98. Mum had breast cancer. In 99, it wasn't going away. It was going to get worse. We were living together because we knew it was right. We thought, I'm not messing around with this. I'm going to catch this one. This one's not going anywhere. Don't know whether she thought the same about me, but I'm not going to let it go that one. We went to the UK, got engaged, came back, had an engagement party, and Mum passed away September 2000, so it hit straight away. It probably hit us about, with Wendy's illness, a couple of years later, probably 2003, when we were on holiday and we were walking on the beach and she was having problems breathing. I said, here, have some Ventolin. Nothing really happened. I went, well, that's a bit strange. We got home. She wanted to lose some weight, and she was on Weight Watchers, and she was losing weight, but she wasn't getting fitter. And then one day because we're on this corporate gravy train, we're not doing our 9 till 5, she's there at 6 o'clock, and 8 o'clock I'm going, Wendy's not home yet, Wendy's not home. And she walked up to my car ramp because the lift was broken, and she collapsed, banged her head. They got in the car and drove home, like you do. And from that moment, in about 3 months, we've seen oncologists, cardiologists, the right place at the right time. Our local GP is someone who'd done a lot of reading, knew something was wrong when he had blood clots from flying in business, economy business and first class. So it doesn't matter what end of the plane she's lying in, she still gets a blood clot. Right. Something was wrong, and it literally got to when we saw the cardiologist, the test they stopped. It got us to see the transplant team, which we treated at the Alfred Hospital of Melbourne, who are world leaders, and sat down with a doctor. And Helen turned around to us and said, "Look, you've got primary pulmonary hypertension. I know you don't think you'd be sick, but if you don't do what we did, say you're going to be dead in 6 months." And I went, that's okay. Can I go back to work now? Because I've got to do an IPO and Wendy's got to write a policy, HR policy. And she goes, you listen to what we say. So, like, very blunt. Got back to work, and our life changed at that moment. Our life changed at that moment. Lots of questions about why. Dad going, is it my fault? Is it Jane's fault? No, it's just the wrong lottery numbers. Lots of questions like, well, can we buy a set of lungs? Because just, right, what do we do? How do you get to the top of the tree? What needs to happen? So our life changed from that moment. 18th of December 2006. It's amazing how things stick in your head with dates. 2 a.m. in the morning, we've been out for dinner. And he was drunk because I drove. The phone goes. I'm thinking, that's my brother in the UK. Now it's a hospital. Do you want a set of lungs? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Wendy goes in, and she should spend 14 days in ICU, 36 days afterwards. She comes out of ICU. The next 2 to 3 years, she's in and out of hospital. A lot of severe depression and anger from her. No one really thinking about me. Everyone's ringing up going, how's Wendy, how's Wendy, how's Wendy? And I'm trying to hold down a massive job in a large financial services firm with global team. No one's asking who I am. Our life just, when we laughed about it before, you know, this love and through sickness and health when you get married, you know, read the small print. Not that it would have changed anything, but oh my God. So our life has changed drastically from that. Our outlook on life has changed to the point today where we don't leave anything for chance. I mean, this is about, and it's all about how you approach. I mean, how you approach life. And I'm going to go all over the place. So stop me where you're going to go. And
I'm loving it. So keep going.
So they tell you great, you need a lung transplant. Great, we're going to give you a lung transplant. But the next thing they tell you is the average life expectancy of someone who has a lung transplant is 7 years. So, okay, so we found a match. So when he had one chance at a lung transplant, it was because she's had a few other things. She's called a golden patient because she's got lupus, Sjogren's, primary pulmonary hypertension, arthritis, osteopenia, and 2 other things as well. So, right, medical journals about her all over the place. So we got one chance for her. No one's ever operated on someone like this before. And she got the lungs from a nun, believe it or not. So, not religious. I don't even know how to cross, but thank you. If you're watching, thank you, whatever you do.
But that's got to be a good sign, right?
That's going to be a good sign. So we go through all this process. You know, I remember being in ICU and looking at Wendy, you know, and things like, you know, all these things are bleeping and I faint and they just roll me over. No one cares about me. No one cares about me. And it's not about me, but it is about me. But when they tell you you've got 7 years to live, you think you're going through all this motion and you've only got 7 years average after that. What we've learned through science, through setting up our own medical foundation, is it's an average. And the averages of all lung transplants. Okay? And everyone in the world values what is a successful transplant at different times. So in America, how you value a successful transplant is different to in Australia. Sometimes it's when you leave the operating theatre, sometimes it's when you leave ICU, and sometimes when it's 1 year post-transplant. So it's an average and everything's different. And if it's an average, it means some people survive 1 hour and some people have survived 26 years. This also includes those people that have lung transplants and then decide to smoke, right? Or decide to go and lie in the sun, and you can't do that. So when you trip about the average, you go, actually, stop comparing yourself to everyone else and start running your own race and be the only one in your race. Wendy's now 14 years, 15 years post-transplant. Brilliant. Because you live your own race. Stop your comparing, stop the averages, just live your own race. Bit like COVID. This is what you can't do when you have a transplant. You can't have tattoos. You can't eat shellfish, in a shellfish. You can't eat cured meat like salamis. You can't eat blue cheeses. You can't go and lie in the sun because some of the drugs are receptive to sun. Right? Don't do that. If you do that, you're going to die. Right? What happens with COVID? Right? Don't do this or I shall die. Right? This is what medical science tells you to do.
It's pretty easy.
Pretty easy. So through all this stuff we went, the hardest thing for me is that no one cares about me. But I'm there now, the breadwinner. Don't really know what to do. No one really knows my situation. I don't know how to care for Wendy. So when Wendy is suicidal, do I just let her be suicidal? What do I do? How do I cope with it? When I'm going through depression, no one calls me. Felt very lonely, felt outside the box, almost felt like I was looking into my life instead of being in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm sat there going, oh, Wendy's got 6 years, about 6 years post-transplant. She's going to die next year because that's the average. What's my life going to be like?
How hard was it for you to deal with the fact that nobody cared about you, or that's how it felt? And did you feel guilty for feeling that way?
Looking back now, I've got a lot of anger. Angering myself more than anything, angering myself for not shouting out that I needed help. But I think also because it took me time to, I've been more disappointed that other people couldn't see it in me that I needed help, that I had to find out for myself to recognize it. And it's not because I'm a male, I'm a bloody minded or anything like that. I just didn't recognize the signals for it of these experts. But an instance came that where I was looking for work and I couldn't find work in Melbourne. I had jobs offered in Europe, in Asia, but I couldn't go because Wendy needed to be in Melbourne. And I was positively discriminated. Apparently I'm male, apparently I'm white, and I'm over 40. Well, thanks for telling me that. And I was actually told, if I'm female, if I'm 32, right, I would have the job. And my argument is, so you're going to put a female in the role because you need to get your diversity numbers up, knowing that the female you're going to pick is number 4 on the list because number 2 and number 3 are some of my best friends. They're not going to apply for the job. They actually want to come and work for me when I get the job. But to your diversity number, you're going to put a female in and serve your clients with the 4th best person. When that thing happened is when I drove across we've got a bridge in Melbourne called the West Gate, a bit like the Golden Gate. And that's where I thought the only solution for me, because there's no one around to help me, was to jump off the bridge and when it takes the insurance money. Obviously, I didn't jump because I'm here, but it took me 5.5 trips over the bridge to work that out. And that was my turning point that I needed. I need help. And I turned through to a friend who has done. It's funny, every time I do a podcast, people pass the office and go, "You're free," and I'm going, "No, mate, I've got my lights on." It's like, they don't come before, they don't come afterwards. But just to get back, I spoke to a friend who has been in the special services, special forces, knows what it's like. Right, no point me sitting in an office, sitting in a room, talking to a medical trained person because they don't get me. And really sorted out my shit and realized that it was okay to be where I am and what I am. And hearing that from an ordinary person, that they get me, has probably been the most powerful thing that I've heard in a long time.
I think that's why it's so important that we do things like this, because there's going to be that person out there that hears your story and thinks the exact same thing of, wow, this guy gets me, or I'm going through something so similar and I'm not alone. But what did that time on the bridge feel like? And what in those 5+ trips back and forth flip that switch for you to say, no, this is not the way, there is another path?
At the time, it seemed like an eternity. It seemed like just time had slowed going backwards and forward over this bridging. One thing we talked about, Pastor, I want to come back because we'll come on to the duck, because the duck's a key part of this.
Yes.
There's an important thing about being unconventional and how I learn. So I've never wanted to do woodwork or metalwork. These fingers are not handy people, right? but I've always wanted to be a chef. And at school, apparently I'm male and I can't do cooking because that's for females. So I had to do woodwork and metalwork. I said, look, don't teach me about cars because my family's been in the car business since I was dot. I can hot wire a can in about 3 seconds. So, but I want to cook. No, you can't cook because you're female. So that is, so my life has been unconventional. And when you sit at conferences and you see these Olympic champions and they go, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I train for 16 hours, 7 days a week. Well, I'm the one eating burger and chips. I'm going, well, that ain't me. But when I see someone get up there who's just an ordinary person like me from an ordinary lifestyle who's done something quite remarkable, I go, shit, I relate to that. And that's what I do. That's why I do these podcasts, right? I got another business where I get paid and I get paid handsomely, but this is about Gordon. I'm just an ordinary person. And what I want to do is I help ordinary people do extraordinarily meaningful things every single day. And if that extraordinary thing today is someone going, I am actually okay, Gordon, I need to chat with you. Wherever you are in the world, I'll have a chat with you. And that person doesn't jump, I'm not going to you can't put a price on that. That's priceless. That is my life. That is my life done. So I think as an ordinary people, we've got to stop looking up to these superstars and saying we want to be a superstar. We've got to start looking at ordinary people and going, if they can, I can. Right? If you have the desire and the belief in you, we have the belief in you. But you've got to have the desire in you first, because I can't put the desire in you.
Right.
I can have more belief in you and I can see what you can achieve. And once we get rid of the shit around your brain and you can see the clarity, you'll see it because we're outside your noise. Then we can get you there. But you've got to have the desire. You've got to make the first step across that road to say, I'm on the journey.
Right.
And if you take that first step, then people will follow you. That's the first thing. So what stopped me jumping off the bridge? Well, a little rubber duck. We'll send you a little rubber duck. So I have a little rubber duck and he's called Banfi and he's got blue and he's a superhero and he's all over the website. He's got his own Instagram account. We don't have kids, and because of Wendy's health, we could never have kids, and we don't like taking pictures of ourselves. So we had this rubber duck that we used to take away and take pictures. Now we think we're quite unusual. But I'll tell you what, when you get your rubber duck out, everyone else gets their giraffe out, their frog out. Right? Everyone's going. Right? It's amazing about people have got stuff. And he's called Banfi because when Wendy was 6 years post-transplant, we had the holiday of a lifetime, and that holiday of a lifetime was 5 months in Europe. 3 months in Italy, 2 months in France. It was a super 6-star holiday, first class, staying at chateaus, castles, no expense claim, because she was going to die the next year because that's the average. So the idea was we'd have a massive holiday, don't worry about the expense, we'd come back, next year she dies, her insurance pays out and her, or the equivalent, her 401 gets paid out. So that pays for it, right? Great. So we have a fantastic holiday of a lifetime. We stay in this place in Tuscany, and called Castello Banfi, so we named the duck after Banfi because it was a beautiful place. And that's where Wendy said, I don't want to die, I want to live, I want to make every day count. So when I was driving over the Westgate Bridge, little Banfi was on the car seat next to me. And I looked down at Banfi and I remember those words from Wendy, and I knew if I was jumping what I was leaving behind. And when he said, it doesn't matter how bad we get, we've come this far, we just need to make sure that every single day counts. And that was it. And that's what I do. Then that's how I've lived my life, to making sure that every single day counts. That's why if someone's toxic, I don't have it. If you're an anti-vaxxer, great, have your own views, but I don't need to see your posts over my Facebook screen, so I'll block you. I don't need it. I don't have toxic people, including family members, in my life. Right? I don't know why I'm so happy sat here, because I don't have anyone. I don't speak to people I don't want to speak to. Right? I'm in control of my time. And my time is the most important thing I have. And I want to make sure that people I'm going to invest it with respect the time respect our time together. So little Banfi, little duck, saved me from jumping off the bridge. And he's with me 24/7. There's always 3 of us in bed. I didn't know we were going to get that geeky, but that's all right.
That is fantastic. Does he have like his own little pillow and cover?
Yeah,
or
he has it. He has his own. So the original Banffy, the original rubber duck, is in a glass case in my office.
Okay.
He comes out when I speak to him. He's very precious to us. But it's amazing. I go around and people, the amount of people just ask for ducks, ask for rubber ducks, just want a duck. Can I have a duck? Can I have a duck? Can I have a duck? It's a talking point of not about my coaching business. It's about overcoming adversity in your way that suits you, not the way a textbook tells you to do it. And I think that's really important, that we live our life the way that we want to live our life, not because a textbook tells us to live that life.
What was that moment like when Wendy said, you know what? I don't want to be the average. I don't want to die next year. I want to live every day to its fullest. What was that moment like for you to flip the script as well and say, oh, okay, she's not going to die next year, or maybe she's not. And now let's really live our lives every single day.
So Tuscany was the start of the holiday, and I went, yeah, okay, well, let's do it. Okay, so the budget went out the window for the holiday we had, right? Even though we had a budget and we were spending, that went out the window. We were going to live life. When we sat on the plane coming back, we were leaving Paris, and she turned around to me and she said to me again, she said, Gordon, I've got some good news and bad news for you. I'm going, shit, please don't die in France, because that's really going to stuff up my insurance. Thinking about money. And she goes, what? She goes, I've had that holiday of a lifetime. I says, okay. And then I said, well, go on. And I said, what's the bad news? She goes, I'm not going to die. I'm going to live forever. And I had some of my boys, I went, what do you mean you're not going to bloody die? That was agreement. You're going to bloody die. And all the air stewardesses are coming along going, who's dying? Who's dying? My wife decided not to die. My wife decided not to die. It was like, I think, yeah, now I'm going to pay for this bloody holiday.
Now I'm not going to have the insurance or the 401k.
Yeah. Damn it. Didn't mean the small print again. So I think we came back, we had that mindset, that's what we're going to do, and we keep ourselves accountable to do that. So we have a bucket list. We're on our 6th or 7th bucket list. We've been to Vegas. We spent 3 weeks in Vegas. No one ever spends 3 weeks in Vegas.
They do not.
We've been shooting. We've been playing. I went to a poker tournament. I met Elvis. Right, we did the whole Whitechapel thing.
All of it.
The whole gamma of things. We've done the Grand Canyon. We've eaten at restaurants where there's been 4 people only in the restaurants. We've done exquisite things. We've spent time together. We have a bucket list every single week. Okay, every single week we do something. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be hundreds of them. It can be every fortnight we have a date night where the mobiles goes off and we spend, I know it sounds weird, 2.5 hours together just talking. That's in our bucket list. We do that. So our life is so rich today of experiences, but what I class as priceless experiences, but not money experiences. I think that's really, really important. We've dropped all our material things, so we don't live in that super duper house, and we don't have those super duper cars. We live in a small apartment. We enjoy life's pleasures, not life's materials. And I think that's what we do. And it's a journey I never thought I was on. And it's a journey that I say that when I was in the corporate world, I was cash rich and passion poor. It was all about the money. Now I'm passion rich, and the rest just takes care of itself.
Tell me about how that feels emotionally different, because I know there are a lot of people who, oh, if I just had more money, I would be happy. Oh, if I just money, could buy my happiness because it would do this, that, or the other. So talk to me about having that cash rich life. And now, not saying you don't have a cash rich life, but you're focused more on the experiences and the people and the energy in your life versus the money.
The type of people in my life today are a lot more genuine, genuine, authentic. You meet a certain people around money that are centered around money, doing it. So the life today we have is You're right. It's passion. I'm not saying we don't have money, and there's things that we want to do that means that my passion has to be more purposeful to generate that. But I follow the people. So when you talk to people, it's about who we are, not what we are. To start with, I want to know who you are. I don't care what you do. I don't care you're a great lawyer or an accountant. I want to know who you are. I want to know, am I going to have a Tinder date with you, or is this going to be a long-lasting relationship? Right, if it's a Tinder date, I don't need it. Right, I'm after long-lasting relationships. That's what I want. I want to know the quality of the person behind you. I don't want the bullshit. I don't want the bullshit. I want the laughter. I want the tears. I want the honesty. I just find that because you live this life, you purposely live this life, all that crap just windows away. You don't purposely go out and go, Claudia, I don't want to talk to you any longer because you're toxic, right? You're not, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Because your actions means that you're no longer in my network, so you just generally you just naturally fade away because you start surrounding yourself. 99% of the people you start surrounding yourself with are those nice people you want to surround. So people I knew 5 years ago, not necessarily in my book any longer. I'm not necessarily around. So I'm buzzing. Right? I'm on life. I'm on the drug of life. Right? I am on the drug of life. So those people that sit there go, can I do this? Can I do that? I don't have a passion. You do have a passion. You're not everyone around here wants to build a hospital. I'm going to say, fuck it. 10 years ago, I didn't think I was going to build a hospital either. Right? I'm not asking people for money to build a hospital. I'm telling people I'm building a hospital. Do you want to come on the journey? Right? Yes, I need 20, 30, $200 million, but I'm building the hospital. The money will come because of the people I'm gathering along the way. So get that passion and work that passion. Work out what you want. Just be yourself. Get rid of the Instagram. Get rid of the Facebook. Just be who you are and who you want people to think you are. Right? And who you want people to think you are is actually who you are, not who you think people want to think you are. It's one of those Donald Russell things. You don't know what you don't know when you don't know what you don't know. Just be your bloody self. Stop trying to fake the bloody world. Just be your bloody self. Right?
Why do you think that's so hard for so many people?
I think it's hard. Because parents who are my age grew up in a world without technology, and our parents were able to educate us on the rights and wrong because they had their experiences. Because we've never had the technology of it, we don't know how to control the next generation. We've got no insights to tell the next generation. So when information is flowing so quickly and things are flowing so quickly, we don't have the insight. We don't have the inside experience to tell them. So the next generation will learn from the generation below that. Why? We believe that money's easy. I think there's a general feeling that we still think that money's easy. We still think, you only have to look at it. OnlyFans have gone through the roof. Well, there's some middle-aged guys, 56 years old, 54 years old in blue lycra shorts in Sydney, earning $20,000 a month with photos, with films. Right? Good luck to him. Right?
Good for him.
Good for him. Now, you can't say that's not a business because you're generating $2 million a year. $400,000 a year, right? It's cash. You can't say that's not a job. He's getting paid more than some high-end executives. So I think our world's changed, and again, it comes back to the fact that we're still living in how the world was. The world has changed. COVID has changed. We've adopted technology really, really quickly. 95% of consumer decisions are now being made through technology before we even speak to a human being. So we don't get the time to talk to someone about something. We go to Facebook. I didn't send you a letter and say, hey, can I be in your podcast? What did I do? I was on Facebook and saw it. Right? So I think the way we interact as human beings has changed. We've also had a greater level of acceptance. So things we accept today in our life, my parents wouldn't know, but I would never dream of this being accepted now. In fact, I'm glad in a way I'm not a father. Because I don't know what type of father it'd be. I don't know if I could cope being a father in today's world. Because technology drives it. But out of all that, at the end of the day, you can have all the fakeness you want on technology, but when we meet each other, I just want to know it's you. I want to know the person I see on Facebook. Is you, which you are. Big tick.
Yes. Do you think that for some people, do you think people sometimes look at you crazy when you say that of like, I just want to know you, like, let the fluff go. I don't care what you do. I care about who you are. But for so many people who are so ingrained in, you know, I am what I do for a living. I am what car I drive, what clothes I wear. Do you think people ever look at you kind of crazy like, wow, is this guy for real? Like he just wants to know who I am and not all that other shit that most people seem to care about?
I'm pretty sure they do, and I don't mind it. There's 8 billion people in the world. I'm happy that 4 billion don't like me. Let's get those 4 billion out of the way. Out of the 4 billion in the world, I only want a small percentage to like me. And it's not about not liking me. And I'm going to get a quote, because this is a quote that a client said to their daughter, and I've used it, and it came so naturally to her. And I want to use it because it's so relevant to what you just said. So bear with me 1 second, because I'm going to get it, because it is absolutely... it says, and this is what she said, it doesn't matter they said no. You are awesome. They're just too blind to see it. This was said to a mother of a 13-year-old who missed out on her first job. She went for a job at McDonald's and missed out on it. Her first job, and she was so devastated that she didn't get the job at McDonald's. That's what my mother said. I've used that quote so many times to people and think I'm inspired. I said, it's not mine, it's the client. I said, I'm trying to get the client to trademark it. And I think that's the thing, that you have to believe in yourself, that what you have, you are a good person. Not everyone is a good person in the world. We know that through history. But generally, 99% of us are good people. Just be yourself and believe you are awesome. Every single day, there's this bored guy that turns around to me every morning and goes, Gordon, you're awesome. It's me in my mirror. Right? Someone every single day tells me I'm awesome. We are awesome. Believe in yourself that you're awesome. If you believe in yourself, but you go out and you just be natural yourself, people will attract you. Do people not get me? Yeah, people don't get me. I mean, you can see I'm blue. My brand is all blue. Right, blue. I mean, to get me, no, I walk a bloody yellow duck in the pocket. But the amount of people that stop me, but yeah, the amount of times I get the yellow duck out in an airport lounge, people go, what's with the yellow duck? And I tell them the story about how it saved me jumping off a bridge. Do you think they're intrigued? Do you think they want to know? Yeah. Well, what do you do now? I get paid to go to restaurants with this yellow rubber duck. I get paid, to travel the world and speak about a yellow rubber duck. When you go to a conference and everyone gives you a pen and a water bottle, what do you do with a pen and a water bottle? You throw it away, right? You take a rubber duck home or back to the office. Do people come to you and say, what's with the yellow rubber duck? How do I get yellow rubber duck? Yeah. Right? Am I a bit crazy? No, my business is about networking, about being individual, about being memorable, and that's what a yellow duck does. But don't take away, and I struggled with this until a very, very good friend of mine, a lady called Colette Worden, who helped me rebrand. The duck started becoming a bit of a gimmick, and I didn't want it to be a gimmick. And that's how we spent a lot of time understanding how the duck had impacted my life and how it became my superhero for life. And we've all got a superhero. We've all, I don't care if it's a phone, a calculator, a rug. We've all got something that's a superhero that we cling to, that is our superpower about why we're doing what we're doing. Right? Just tell your story. We're human beings and we're naturally interested and drawn to stories from other people. Not lies, stories about other people, because that's how we learn. We didn't learn from textbook. Caveman, how did we learn hunting? Because we followed the hunt masters. We didn't pick up a book and read it. We actually went and experienced it. So there is no book out today that tells you how to run business in a post-pandemic world of the 21st century. There is no book. The book has got blank sheets, so start writing it. 18 months ago, to have a network marketing business or side hustle was thought, oh, you're not successful. Well, the number of 6 and 7 figure earners I know who've left their corporate world and now do this as a business, right? Like, to think that you can pick in a caravan or an RV and go traveling and not have an office, right? It's not working from home anywhere. It's working from anywhere.
Right.
That's the world we live in. We're never going to go back to having a full 100% capacity in offices. Right? It doesn't matter where my team is.
Right. They can get it done from anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that situation has also lent itself to hopefully have people be able to value experiences more because they can be anywhere. So they have more opportunity to have experiences in life versus going to the office and coming home and going to the office and coming home and going to the office and coming home. So is that something that you instill in your team, is the value of experience over most everything else?
Absolutely. My business today, I'm getting asked more from businesses, who do I know in my network for a role? And they don't want to know about the technical experience. They come to me because they want to know the person. Who is the person? Who is the person that I'm bringing into? What are the qualities of that person? Not the technical skills. Mm-hmm. Tell me about how they're going to fit. Tell me about the culture. Tell me how they fit in. They're not asking me for a male or a female or a blonde or a brunette, a bald guy, 6'4". They're asking me about an individual. Mm-hmm. And I think that culture, I can teach you technical. We can go to university. We can pick up a book. I can do YouTube. We can learn technical. You can't learn life skills. I was bullied 3 times a day at school from the age of 11 to 15. 3 days, right? I was in a school of 2,500 kids where we had one. We think it's Chinese, but we don't know. We think it was an Indian, but we don't know it's from there. Mm-hmm. We think we had one Muslim. We don't know. Yeah, she was Sikh, but we called him Muslim, but because we didn't know, we had one Jew. Right? The rest were white power, white people, right? Mm-hmm. Guess who are the 4 people that got bullied every day? We learn from culture. We learn from society. This is what people want to know, your experience of things you've done. And that's why I feel 30, because I think what I did when I was a young kid, what I did when I'm in my 20s, and traveled and did stuff and experienced stuff, is you can't get away from that human stuff now. You think about when you sit in the boardroom, you sit around friends. Even now, when you see it on social media, you see people arguing about being a vaxxer, anti-vaxxers, and you're seeing that you're seeing the personality, you're seeing who they really are, mm-hmm. the rawness of them. You go, really? Is that the type of person? Really? Just because they like red instead of blue? You're going to say that about them? So I think the human side of people is a number one factor that's going to make us grow. Mm-hmm. Come on, it's not going to be our technical. It's not because you got a great podcast. It's because what you bring out in people. You've got a great podcast.
Oh, Gordon. Tell me some wellness advice that you would give out to the audience.
I strongly believe that there is the yin and yang is your physical and mental ability, is health. I don't think you can have one without the other. There's no point being mental. I don't think you can be mentally strong, mm-hmm. but 100 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. Right? It needs to be a bit about. The wellness is find what suits you. So the gym doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. Well, the gyms don't work because the gyms are closed in Melbourne right now, but that doesn't work. So I love walking. So I walk 15K 3 times a week.
Wow.
So 15K, what's that?
9-ish miles?
9-ish miles, 2.5. Mm-hmm. It takes me about 2 hours. I'm not that fast a walker. 17,000 steps. It's my time away. It's my health time away. Mm-hmm. I've been overweight for a long time. So I used to do a lot of sports. Because I was doing a lot of sports, I used to eat lots of pasta. Mm-hmm. No one ever told me that when I stopped doing sports, I shouldn't eat the same amount of pasta. I kind of forgot about that. I just kept on eating the same amount of pasta. So I had problems losing weight. So I went through my psychologist, through to a testosterone. She's actually a sexologist specialist. Says mm-hmm. testosterone, see that. Ended up with a diabetic dietitian, so pre-diabetes. Mm-hmm. And what I love about Cam is he's not trying to stop me living my life. He understands that because of my business, I have lunches. Right? But what we are doing is getting a better understanding of food. So I don't weigh myself. But I'm now 3 belt holes down.
Nice.
So wellness for me is that mental agility to do things that suits who you are. Again, it's about when you do things that are right for you, but do things consistent and do things. Don't try to kid yourself. You've got 2 choices with wellness. You can wait till you have that heart attack and you're lying on the table and say, tomorrow, I'm going to get healthy. Or you can try not to be on that table.
I like option B.
And if you like option B, then do something that suits you. I'm not going to climb Mount Everest. Right, don't give me that. I'm not going to run another marathon. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do any more martial arts. I need to do something that fits into my time that I have, that I can do 2 things a week. If I do 3 or 4, it's a bonus, but I've got to commit to 2. I want to know more about my food. I do a little bit of Pilates. Found Pilates quite, for someone who's not that agile, I thought Pilates was quite interesting. Then I realized how bloody hard work it is. And I went,
it is.
Shit, right, okay, let's do this more. With Pilates, I actually gave one lesson to my wife for Valentine's. And she then found out it was easier to book a book of 10. So she went and bought a book to 10. I went, what have you done 10 for? She goes, well, it's cheaper to do 10 than it was 1. I thought I'd just gone book 10. I went, bloody hell, okay. So we do things. So I think wellness is that. The other part of wellness is about surrounding yourself with people. And I will talk a little bit about business because I think it's important. I have a framework called the airport system. Rather, networking is about putting people on an airplane. But before you put people on an airplane, think about yourself as the plane at the airport. And that is your ecosystem. And I talk about how wellness is it. And we've got to surround ourselves with people that support us. And I think the Americans are brilliant at this. They're probably the best at this than anyone in the world. Because you often hear about, you've got a fitness instructor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a dentist, a doctor. That's your circle of network that you go to. And now the rest of the world think you're a bunch of quacks and everything because you need all these specialists and these care. But actually, what you're saying is I am getting mentally fit and physically fit so I can invest my time in everyone else. It's the old oxygen mask.
Right.
Yeah. So look after yourself first before you look at, there's no point. And that's what I've learned through Wendy. I've got to look after myself. If Wendy's going to live ages, the best thing I can do, and the doctors say this to me, the best thing I can do in order to look after Wendy is make sure I'm fit and healthy. Because if I'm not fit and healthy, I'm going to be no good looking after her. So wellness is that yin and yang. It has to be that physical and that mental. And I'm yet to find something I need to find one person who can't do something physically and mentally. Again, it comes back to what we talked about an hour ago. If you don't have the belief in you and the desire in you, no one's going to help you. But if you have the desire in you, people will gravitate to help you. But I'm not going to invest my time in you if you can't be asked to get out of bed on time.
Yes.
Show up.
Show up for yourself. Throw some relationship advice at me because the wellness advice was amazing. So what relationship advice would you give to the masses?
One thing Wendy and I decided at the very beginning is we would never go to bed angry. We've argued about who's unpacking the dishwasher. We've argued about how we hang clothes up on the washing line. We've never argued about anything else. Oh no, we argued once when I got the menu wrong in Europe and I spent an absolute shitload on some food because I mispriced it. Right? But we never go to bed angry. We never go to bed angry with each other and never go to bed angry with the world. And angry means disappointed. Never ever do that. So that's one. On your network and your friends and relationship, I find this really simple, and I don't want to be right. But if you don't like someone, don't surround yourself with them. Right? Who would you invite? If you had a dinner party for 6 at home, who would you invite? If you had a dinner party for 30, who would you invite? If you had a dinner party for 50, who would you invite? Like the rest, take or leave it. Right? If you don't like being with someone, don't be with someone. Whether it's personal or business, if you don't like your job, right? you can leave. What? How you do it is different, but you can leave. There's absolutely nothing in this world today that you can't do. 12 months ago, we weren't talking about humans, ordinary people, slightly wealthy, but ordinary people traveling to the edge of space. Mm-hmm. Right? Today, we're talking about this. Right? That wasn't possible 12 months ago. It's possible today. So from a relationship perspective, do what you want to do. And those that say no are saying no because they're not ready for your journey. But do it. Live no regrets. Do you want to die and have on that gravestone of yours? What if? There will be no what if. My dad passed away 3 years ago, 2018, with cancer. I spent the last 18 months looking after him. And the week beforehand, we sat down and we said, do we have any regrets? And there's absolutely no regrets whatsoever. Mum passed away 12 months in August. Mm-hmm. Just gone. Dad has a very slow death. Mum had a very, very quick death. And again, when Mum, we sat down and she goes, have I given you a great life? I said, you give me a life that has got no regrets. Mum's a war refugee. Mm-hmm. A life with no regrets. Have you done everything you want to do? I said, I don't know whether I've done everything I want to do, but there's no hole in my life with you, Mum, of something I haven't done with you. Because I don't know, have I done everything I want to do? Well, probably not, but I don't know.
Not yet.
But there's no hole there's no, damn, I wish I would have done that.
Right.
So from a wellness, from a relationship, and when we talk about relationship, we often talk about relationship with other people. Mm-hmm. I think it's important about the relationship you have with yourself.
Right.
Okay. So are you going to go to bed every night and say, I'm happy with today? It's okay to say I'm not happy with today. Today didn't go quite the way I wanted to do. That's important to me. I think that's, you've got to be happy with you. And if you're not happy with you, tell people you're not happy with you and get help. Don't sit in the corner and just go, because you're not, unfortunately, you're not that special, because we've all been there. We've all been there. We've all been in the valley, that dark valley. But it's how you get out of that dark valley that's really important, and let people share their own experiences so you can learn from their experiences and adapt it to your own situation and do it for yourself.
Yes. I feel like you could just drop the mic right there, but I'm not going to let you do that because I want to shift the conversation briefly before I let you go. And we are going to talk about tattoos. Going to talk about some tattoos. As we discussed earlier, I love them. I have them. I'm getting more. You have a couple.
Yes. And
I want to hear about the one that is most meaningful to you.
They're both meaningful, and I'll tell you two stories. The first one is a bumblebee on the back, and the bumblebee was when Manchester got bombed a few years ago at the conference that one of the pop stars was doing. Manchester was is a working. It's known as a working bee community, so everyone works together in this big community. It brought back some memories of living in Manchester when the IRA were there bombing the place, and it was actually Dad was around, and to me it was the first time I had a calling back to Manchester, and I really felt a connection back to Manchester, and the bumblebee meant something to me from a community perspective. So I got the bumblebee done on the back. I do have showing you this thing here called Banffy. So not only do I carry Banffy in my pocket all the time, I carry him on my shoulder.
You got two of them with you at all times.
And then it's purposely done it's there. So when I have my t-shirt on, you can't see it. So I'm not doing these. This is not to show other people. When I'm on the beach and I wear sleeveless, you can see it. The amount of people that stop me go, it's a bumblebee, because he's a big bloke and he wears a bumblebee on his. So he wears a duck in there. But it reminds me all the time. It reminds me it's there. It's there all the time as a reminder of not only the journey I've had, but the journey I'm experiencing as well. And it's extremely personal for me. The funny thing is that both of these tattoos were done by a deep, dark rocker. Right? He does really deep, dark skulls.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, really deep, graphic. He's a goth, right? He's a goth. He had to do a bumblebee and a duck. I got the duck redone by a lady in Melbourne who specialises in comics and Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But then I spent, the whole studio's full of these people getting tattoos, and I spend the next hour and a half talking about how a rubber duck saved me jumping off the bridge, and now they got the rubber duck in the studio. So
nice.
the duck to me is a symbol of. So to me, tattoos is if you go back to the old times of tattoos,
mm-hmm.
Not the war times, the history. It's a symbolism of who you are, where you've come from, but also where you're going as well. And I've got a few other in the back of my mind, and I'm scared of needles as well. So this is a thing.
Okay.
So the other one I want to do is I want to get a phoenix on my back.
Yes.
But I want 3D wings. So as I move, the wings rise.
Okay.
I haven't told the wife about that. So when she listens to this podcast, she might go, "What the bloody hell are you thinking?" So that's for me. So tattoos now intrigue me about the person, about why you had the tattoo. What was the meaning? What was the meaning of that tattoo? I don't hide it. I forget it's there sometimes. Some people sometimes see it and go, "What's that?" So it's just a tattoo.
I love that. And I love that you went ahead and answered, because that was going to be my next question is, are there tattoos to come? So I'm excited about this phoenix. I hope it does happen. Hi, Wendy. Let the phoenix happen, because I want to see these wings for sure.
So tattoos I think are an important part of my life, the symbolism of it.
Gordon, we have covered a lot of ground today. If people want to know more, see more of you, I mean, what I have noticed is that I have been smiling almost this entire episode, even through the difficult parts of your conversation, because your energy is just so contagious. So if other people agree with that and want to find you, where can they find you?
Everywhere and anywhere. So I have nothing to hide. So my website is, I like to keep things simple. So my website is iamgordonjenkins.com. On Instagram, it's I am Gordon Jenkins. If you want to follow the duck on Instagram, it's Banfi the Duck. Like I said, I keep things really simple.
Love it.
On Facebook, it's Gordon Jenkins. On LinkedIn, you can put Gordon Jenkins. Just Google. There's 3 Gordon Jenkins when you Google Gordon Jenkins. One of them is a composer that used to write for Frank Sinatra. He's dead. The other one used to be a mayor of New York, and I think he's in prison on money laundering and drug scandals and stuff like that. And the other Gordon Jenkins is me.
Perfect. So you're the only one alive and out of jail.
Out of jail, yeah. So that's it. So that's where you'll find me out there. And if you want to send me an email, it's gordon@imgordonjenkins.com.
I love that it's easy. Super easy. Well, Gordon, I am so grateful that you joined me here today. Your story, your energy, Banfi, all of you have been amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been one of the most enjoyable ones I've done for a long, long time. And thank you for letting me share out there. And I just want to I don't want people to call me because they think I'm going to do business. If people are struggling, people just want to hear more about the story and they just want to reach out. I'm up at all times of the hours because, that's what I do. But I mean that, if you're struggling, reach out to me. If I can help, I can help. If I can't, then I know someone will. But I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the story and hopefully to make a difference and make an impact in someone who's listening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I'll send you a Banfi as well.
I will take it. I will carry it around. I will make him an Instagram page. I really hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Gordon as much as I did. I truly appreciate his energy, his positivity, and his willingness to truly be an open book for us today. So remember, until next week, you are strong enough and you are worth it. Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough, and on YouTube We're available on the Sphere Talk channel. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at strongenoughpod. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.